Hi, I'm Olivia. I'm the Southern Yankee Stitcher, and I'm back for Flosstube number 4. I'm here today with my latest FFO. This is And Blossomed as a Rose by Blackbird Designs. This is the first Blackbird piece I stitched. I bought it and started back in June. Was working on this exclusively when July 4th when Barb passed away, and I never knew her, but I had seen some video footage of her that Kitten Stitcher had put on there from maybe one of the last markets she was there. She was talking about going to see Paul McCartney. So I was happy that I finally purchased a Blackbird chart and started stitching it. I normally like brighter colors. That's more my color palette. But I love antiques, and I love faded, worn antiques. So, and that's what this reminded me of. I just fell in love with the color palette when I was stitching it. And while I was stitching it, I'm in my living room, and across the room there's a little seating area, and there's an antique chair that's got like a kind of a chartreuse greenish gold fabric on it, and the walls are a bluish gray, and above that chair are some wooden shelves. It's kind of a collage of shelves made from items I found in my husband's grandparents' garage when they moved out. After his grandfather passed away, and his grandmother was moving in with her son. So this fits perfectly. The frame, the colors, everything just looks perfectly. And I had no idea where I was going to hang it when I started stitching it. And I just love how it came together. I had seen lots of Blackbird designs I liked, and I just never bought one. I don't know why. But when I saw this one, and this is the booklet that it's in, and on the front it has Bush River, South Carolina. It has a portion of this chart. Well, Bush River's in a neighboring county here, but when you read the pattern, they say in here, Alma says in here that I believe she said that some of her relatives were Quakers and lived in the Bush River community in South Carolina, which is why she put that on there, and their initials. And she encouraged everyone to make this their own. So I live in Greenwood County. It's my husband's hometown. So I put my husband's initials in mine, and then his parents, grandparents, and 2 sets of great-grandparents who all lived. All but 2 of them lived in Greenwood County. The other 2 lived nearby, probably just not far over the county line, but their family was here in Greenwood. And so this is special to me now because I was able to make it, something that represented our family. And hopefully next week I'll either have a video or some still pictures that I'll add into my Flosstube that will show this in place. And it's going to look so good. It's going to look so good, y'all. And in this, one thing I never thought about, and I mean, maybe I don't know, this is the first Blackbird pattern that I've purchased, I'm ashamed to say, because it's just so awesome. But they made photo color copies of their stitching, and then like decoupage them on a box or something. I mean, is that a fantastic idea? I've got to try that. I've got to try that. Someone suggested, after seeing the ship sampler that I showed last week, that I put the story in there. And that is definitely a plan of mine, to put the story right behind the stitching in the frame. But then after I paper the back, put it on there too, so that whoever finds it knows what it is. And I've done the same thing for this piece. For all the initials that are in here, I'm going to write on the back who they are, how they were related, and the year they were born, the year they died. So I'm excited about that. It's I'm really excited about that piece because it's going to look so good where I'm planning to hang it. I finished another one. I haven't fully finished it because I can't decide exactly how I want to fully finish it. But it was the button heart sampler. Here, excuse me. That I made into a patriotic button sampler. Here. And you'll see I changed the buttons. I asked in my last video what you all thought about the shell, the white antique shell buttons. And if you look at this pattern, gosh, how am I going to get on there? Right there. Those shell buttons, well, I assume they're shell. They look like it. I wanted that look where they're old. That old look of the buttons, and that's kind of what I thought of when I stitched it. And then when I put them on, I thought they're too white. I asked one of my daughters, she said, I think it looks okay, but she wouldn't ever say it didn't look okay, I don't think. She's too sweet to say that. But let me see, a couple people made some suggestions. Pam commented and said maybe star buttons or smaller buttons. And then Christy's Corner Needlework said she thought the buttons were also too bright of a white. So I don't have any star buttons, and I didn't want to buy any because I probably have, well, I'm looking at 6 quart jars full of buttons. There's something about a jar full of buttons that I love. I think they look pretty, and there's so much history there, and I mean, it's my button stash. It's my mother's button stash. And I've gone to yard sales. If I see a jar full of buttons, I buy them. I love jars of buttons. You know, after I got married, if we ever threw clothes away, you know, they weren't worth donating, I would cut the buttons off, keep the buttons. And I've bought buttons at yard sales. And about 15 years ago, I was selling things on eBay, and I sold a lot of antique buttons on eBay, as a matter of fact. So I had these in my stash. I had these navy blue buttons in my stash, and I think they look so much better. I thought, Pam, about stitching a star in each of those squares in the corners, but I wanted the buttons. I have so many. I want to use them. I was looking for a frame. I have some frames in my stash, and I have one that is white chalk paint, and it's distressed. And it looked really good on this. But this was too oblong for too tall for the frame. Had I thought about it ahead of time, I could have altered this chart to fit in that frame. But I'll have that frame for something else. I did go to Hobby Lobby yesterday, and I just didn't see anything. It's kind of an odd size. I'm not paying to have a custom frame made. I'm just not going to do that. I'm probably going to make this into a pillow. So maybe by next week, I do have some other little sewing finishes I want to do. Maybe next week you'll see that in a pillow. The other thing I worked on was A Stitch in Time by Sue Hillis Designs. This is this chart from, what was it, 92 or 94 or something like that. And I did the sewing machine, the top one. I did not do it on a shirt. I did it on, this is the one y'all remember. I keep showing you the ugly one I started. After today, it's being thrown away. You won't see it anymore. I have to sneeze. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, y'all. So this is the ugly one, and trash can's right here beside me. It's going in there, but I saved it to show you one more time because if you may recall I said how I did not like the color of the tomato, and I tried 4 different reds, including the called for, and I think the called for has been ripped out of here. I'm not sure it's in there right now. But I didn't like any of them. So, I just got a stock photo off the internet of a sewing tomato with pins in it and said, I'm stitching one of these. Have you all stitched one in the pattern? If so, what color did you use? Well, I got likes on Instagram, but nobody made a suggestion. I needed help. And so there's a South Carolina Stitcher Facebook page, and I put the same thing on there, same picture. And a lady came to my rescue, Margaret is her name, and she suggested DMC 355, which I have right here. I guess I should take it out of the plastic. DMC 355. It's showing redder than this. It's a rusty red. It's a rusty red. So I got that. I saw where she had responded when I was still at work. So I said, I will check my stash when I get home and see if I have that color, and I'll try it. Well, I did have that color, and that color was in the project bag with this project. It was one of the original call for colors. But it's just a lesson learned that what may not look good on one color I think it looks great. It looks great on another color. I got this finished. It's not fully finished. I did buy a frame yesterday for this to go in, but I haven't fully finished it. I did the satin stitches. What's her name? Christy from Christy's Corner of Needlework also commented about the satin stitches, and she said they are kind of long, but when I frame it up, it'll be fine. And I found that and I shouldn't have this is color coming through. I did use a hoop, a small hoop, when I did the thread and did those satin stitches. So it was a little more stable, and it worked a lot better doing that. The tomato, if you look at this chart, on the tomato and also the spools of thread, it was charted for a couple colors to try and give it dimension. Well, I didn't want to use a couple colors on the tomato. I didn't like how it did the first time, so I just used 355 for the whole thing, tomato and the strawberry. I think it turned out really cute. And I didn't need to use a couple colors on the thread spools, because the satin stitches gave it enough dimension. So this is going to be framed up. It's going to be hanging back here. Hopefully by next week. Like I said, I did buy a frame yesterday. Just didn't get a chance to put it in. Excuse me. But I have some other kind of sewing theme things I'm going to hang up there. And I have a thread holder and some other things that's going to... I'm excited. I think it's going to be cute when I get that done. The other thing I did on this, you'll notice, is the metallic. It's the first time I've ever used blending filament by Chronic. I use these three colors. See if you can see them. I first did the lighter silver, and I didn't have a problem with it. But then I did the top one, this dark, it's a darker silver is what it's called. And sorry, no, it's called steel gray. Steel gray. I had a lot of trouble with it, y'all. It just kept shredding on me. I kept having to rethread my needle, and I couldn't keep it in the... I used 2 strands of DMC floss with 1 strand of the blending filament. It was a nightmare. Like, I don't say bad words very often, but it made me want to say bad words. And I just had to put my stitching down for the night. And so then I thought about it, and I commented on somebody's piece that they were stitching, and they were using the same kind of blending filament on Instagram. I can't remember who it was now. But I said I've been doing it, and really it was giving me a hard time. I think I need to use a larger needle. And she said, yeah, I use a larger needle, and shorter strands. So I did that, and when it came to doing the gold, it just stitched up like a breeze. It was so easy. So again, live and learn. But that is done. It will be framed. And this is in the trash can right now. Don't want to see it again. I had another challenge this week. I was so excited about the Rocky Springs Schoolhouse sampler that I designed. And I was stitching it on this dark green here. Y'all can't see, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I only put in maybe, I don't know, 5, 6, 10 stitches maybe this week. They were off. I noticed where some other stitches I'd done were off. I had mistakes. I mean, I haven't stitched a lot. Look, I haven't stitched a lot. I have mistakes because I cannot see this. I tried putting a white pillowcase in my lap while I'm holding it, and you know, make sure it's not doubled up so I can see through. And you would think that you could see it. I mean, I could see right now, but I couldn't. I couldn't see it. It's something also about the gloss of the fabric that it's a nightmare. So I have to get new fabric. I just can't. I can't do this whole thing. Can't do this whole thing on this. What I think I'm going to do, I've stitched on black before, like an even weave or an Ada, and haven't really had too much trouble. But I just can't on the screen. The count's too small or something. So I'm going to look for an Ada that's very petite, like a high number count Ada in this color green. I haven't really had time to really look for it too much online, but, and you know, I don't have anywhere where I can get a shop for that. But I thought about trying a different color, but I just wanted this. This is just the vision I had in my head, and that's what I want to do, and I'm not going to give up quite yet. I told y'all last week that, where is my, where I put it. Well, I had a picture on my phone I was going to show you. And it's a picture of my grandmother when she was a little girl at the schoolhouse. I'll have to show that to you another week. But this here, this is a newspaper article that's from I'm not sure. It's in 70s or early 80s. But this is the schoolhouse. That's my grandmother right there. And they were having a bazaar to raise funds for the schoolhouse. You know, I think I told you that it was just a community place that everybody loved. And they would have reunions there all the time. This is one of the reunion pictures from the 70s. My grandmother is right there. My grandfather should be in there somewhere, but he's not. But I see cousins in there, and half the church I half the people I went to church with. Then I found another one, and there's the schoolhouse set right here, and beside it was the church. And the church I don't think is in operation. I think I told y'all about that maybe. I don't know. If I did, I'm sorry if I repeat myself, but it's like a museum now. It's a historical site. And once every couple months they have Civil War era church services there, and you can dress in period attire and stuff. Anyway, so this picture here is actually, this is from 1932, and this is a Sunday school class, all the Sunday school members from that year. And they're at the church that's there. And my grandmother is, great-grandmother, sorry, is right there. And great-grandfather's right there. my mother, who's going to turn 90 in a few weeks, would have been a year old when that picture was taken. So I love history, love stuff like that. And that's why I wanted to stitch that, and I'm excited about it, and I'm going to get it stitched on dark green. All right. I decorate my house for holidays, and not every holiday. I do, like, I'm getting ready to put up fall. I also put up Christmas, of course. Then after Christmas, it kind of goes. There's no real theme to it. Then I'll put up spring, which would be kind of Eastery. And I'll take down some of the Easter things out of it after Easter. But I have a lot of bunnies and eggs. I love those, so they stay up a little while. Then for Memorial Day through the end of August, I have Patriotic. And then I go start putting fall up. And so I'm getting ready to take my Patriotic down. So I thought I would share with you some prior finishes that are Patriotic. And these also, like all my other stitching, have lessons learned. I showed this piece, which was the first piece I stitched when I started back to stitching back in the fall and early winter of 2019. I showed that to you before, Suffragette Proclaimed. And I'm showing it to you again because I finished this like Vanna said to finish it. I laced the back of this. I used Aleene's glue. I used thin mounting board. I think I actually used sticky board, but it didn't stick to my stitches, just the batting and the fabric on these back pieces. And it's thin, it's tight, you know, it's good. Well then, the pandemic hit. Everything was shut down. I was at home. We didn't go into work. I work at a school. So, where a lot of people were going to the store and buying groceries and toilet paper and all that stuff, my husband took care of that. A lot of people around here were going to Lowe's and buying things to do all the home improvement projects while they were home. I went to Hobby Lobby and stocked up on fabric to stitch on and things like that. And it was slim pickings by that point because, I mean, the crafting business was great during shutdown. Our local Michaels ended up closing though. They closed, I guess, around the first of the year this year. And I asked one of the employees there, I said, surely you all have had great business during all this shutdown. Everybody was doing home crafts again. And he said, yeah, he said, we've had probably the best sales we've ever had in this location. He said it was something with the lease. So we no longer have a Michaels in our town because of that. We just have Hobby Lobby. So I was able to buy a bunch of DMC for 17 cents a skein, and I racked up on it while I could, you know. But it's a shame that they couldn't work that out. But anyway, during the pandemic, I was stitching from stash. I forgot to pull this chart out, but it was in the, I guess it was, I don't know if it's the summer of 2019 or summer 2020 punch needle primitive stitcher. It's a Twin Peaks primitive chart, Betsy Ross. I could try and find that for y'all if you want to know. I can tell you which issue, but it's in one of those issues because it was like a patriotic theme. And anyway, I had a subscription. I had an online subscription to Punch Needle Primitive Stitcher. They have so many good charts in there, and so I would just print out the charts I needed. Well, I don't know if I'd never got a renewal notice or if it went to spam or what, but I haven't gotten the last couple issues, and it's because my subscription expired. They didn't do anything wrong, but I think I'm going to get the paper version this time, just because I like to have something to hold in my hand and look at. And also, it's my understanding, I don't know if they're still doing this, but at one time, if you got the paper magazine subscription, then you got all their digital history for free. So when I got the digital subscription, I got the year to come and the year prior. That's why I'm not sure which issue this came out of. But in the issue, they show Betsy Ross's house. Oh man, I wish I had it. Pause. I'm going to pause this a minute. Back. I found it. I had filed it away. It's the Punch Needle Primitive Stitcher 2019 summer issue. And this is the chart they show. This is something behind it. Okay. I decided I wanted to stitch it, but then if you turn the page over, I don't want to show all this. I changed it. Let me just. This shows a picture of what the house looks like in Philadelphia. Well, between that and that is a big difference. I couldn't, once I saw this picture, I could not stitch it like that. It just, I mean, I knew they took creative license and it was colorful and it was beautiful and everything, but I don't know. I had to change it. So I changed it up. I changed all the colors. I have them kind of written on here. This is such a mess. I tried to go through, because I was stitching from stash, I didn't have the colors. And I decided to change it. I went through and changed colors. Where one color may be used 3 places in the chart, I used 3 different colors in those 3 different places. Then some of them, as I was stitching, I changed it. But this is my finished piece. And like I said, I was stitching from stash at this point. Only what's the word they use for all the necessary places were open, and I don't think Hobby Lobby was one of them. I did the bricks, and then I went back and back stitched. Really, if I was going to do it again, I would have done that different, or maybe used more than one strand to back stitch. Tried to give dimension to the door with a couple colors and the shutters. Did the cellar doors. The chart from Twin Peaks Primitives, instead of the window and the cellar door opening right here, it was more like a storefront window. And I believe Betsy Ross was a tailor, so her and her husband. So it may have looked like a storefront at one time. But I really liked that piece. I liked it when I got it done. Finishing it was a bear. I thought, oh, hey, I've seen a lot of people do finishing on Flosstube. Not everybody does it just like Vanna, so why can't I just do it like some of these other people do it? Well, I didn't have enough sticky board. I think when I went out before the shutdown, I couldn't get sticky board. I didn't buy any online. I thought, I'll just use foam core. I have foam core, like science board at the house, and I'll just cut them up. I also thought, I'm not going to lace it. Why? That was a lot of work lacing that. I'm just going to hot glue it. It was a hot mess. Hot mess. I don't think this was on the pattern. No, it was on the pattern. I thought I added the border, but the border was, you can see, it's on side by side. The border was on there. I think I outlined the white. I added that for sure. But because it has a straight border, when you were wrapping this around your backer board, whatever you use, you have to get it perfectly straight. Any flaw, if you're off by any little bit, it's going to show when you have a straight line like that. And I didn't even think about that. I don't know why I didn't think about that. So, and when you hot glue something down, it dried fast. So you didn't have time to move it. So I can see if you're going to glue, but I would suggest you use Aleene's fabric glue if you're going to glue. Or that you lace. I showed you this one, how it was nice and tight. And just like, man, it was really put well together. Look at this one. It's not glued because this one I glued it with Aleene's fabric glue, all the pieces together after I made them. And I put something real heavy on it for a day or two. This one I did the same thing. I didn't really do the same thing because it's hot glue. I glued my stitching to the board and ripped it off. I ripped it off 2 times. So it was glued for 3 times till I finally got what was acceptable. It's still not perfect. I still want to put some Aleene's glue in here on all of these and put them under something heavy so that they're at least tighter down, you know. This feels like it was probably sticky board, but this is definitely foam core, and that's foam core. You can still see the sticker. I didn't finish the back. I wasn't sure what I was going to do, and like I said, my floss, my fabric, everything was stitching from stash. I have what was left over from this one with the homespun and the blue mottled fabric. So live and learn, live and learn. Well, I don't have much more stitching to show you. Christmas is coming. I didn't even touch that this week. I was working on other things. I'm going to go back to that. That's going to be probably my main focus. I also want to start George Decorates for Martha. It's a fall piece. But I thought I would show you some Save the Stitches. I didn't even know it was called Save the Stitches until I first saw it on Art Design, Amanda May. And one of her videos popped up. And I watched it. And in it, she talked about a place where I used to shop in my hometown of Maryland. And I was like, what? I can't believe it was like a obscure place, you know, local place. And so I was like, what? Where's she from? And I just kept watching some of her videos. And she did Save the Stitches on her segment. And I've seen some other people show some old stitching too. I think I've seen Priscilla and Chelsea and some of their really old ones do that. But before I knew it was called Save the Stitching, I've been saving the stitching. I have one needlepoint piece I want to show you here that I think is so cute. I'm wondering if it was someone's home that they stitched up or if it was just, you know, a chart. I don't know how old it is. It's got some age on it though. It's this one right here. It's needlepoint. I can't remember where I got this. If it was a thrift store or a yard sale or something like that. It's been sold. It has 4 different prices on the back. $12.98, $9.98, $3.98, and $2.98. I got it for like a quarter or something ridiculous. There's all the prices on the back. You can see how old it is. The hanger's rusty. I've put this out. I've put it out on my kitchen hutch, in my living room. I've had a lot going on this year. If y'all watch Niecy Lynn, in her video this week, she talked about having to place her mother in a memory care facility. And we had the same kind of challenge this year, the beginning of the year, when my mother was diagnosed with dementia. And it's been difficult. It's the hardest thing I've ever had to go through. And we had to have her placed somewhere, and it's something really hard. And I just want to say to New Zealand, I'm thinking about you. I'm praying for you and your family. I know it's a hard decision. I know it's going to be hard on your mother. My mother went through a real hard time. She did not want to be where she was. But she had other physical problems too, and I wanted her to come live with me, but it was more than I could handle, especially since I work outside the home. But anyway, just want to let you know I'm thinking about you and praying for you. And There was something about the Save the Stitches why I brought her up, and I can't remember now. Well, I was just saying that I know what I was saying, that I like to decorate and redecorate a lot, change things out a lot, and I would use this in the summertime. I would change out, and this year I haven't done a lot of changing out. I've had a lot going on. I've just been, even when I'm not somewhere doing something, I'm mentally drained, and stitching has been just a nice getaway for me from all the stressful things that I go through, have gone through with my mom, and just other things too. So I haven't been decorating and redecorating and changing out. I would change out a lot. Like every month I was changing stuff on my bookshelves in my living room, and I can't get into that right now. But that's why I have this piece, because when I change out, I like to add new little things. I have another, I'm going to call this Saving the Stitches. It was definitely a mass-produced piece. Someone somewhere has a Made in China sticker on the back, so maybe, I guess someone in China stitched this, but I got it at a thrift store too, and like the other one, and I'm telling you, I don't pay more than like $1 or something for these things. I just thought this was cute. And we'll put it out in spring, Easter. The frame's distressed. The felt's made to look kind of old, but it's like brand new. But I thought that was cute. Even though it's not an old Save the Stitches, I still saved it. Brought it to my home. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for this week. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me and hanging in there. And I'm going to be stitching a lot this week and hopefully finishing in some too. I will be back in a week to show you more. I'll be watching y'all too. See ya. Have a great week.